Hey there, Facebook members. I'm so excited that I have Michelle Terpstra here with me today. That's how excited I am. I can't even, I'm fumbling more words. I'm so excited because she has taught me so much in the past couple of years that I've known her. And I know that she's going to deliver some amazing, juicy nuggets to us today. And we're going to be talking about something that she has coming up. And without further ado, because I know she's crazy busy with all the things that she's doing. She's working so fabulously, just fast, and she's just amazing. Let's get to Michelle. And Michelle, welcome. Please tell my
Hi.
audience a little bit about yourself. I was gonna come up with a little thing to introduce you, and I was like, no, because all I'm gonna do is talk about how much I love her, how beautiful she is, and then I'm not gonna get to the focus of what you do. So please tell us about what you do and about your
Oh
business.
my God, you are amazing. So, just for everybody listening, Vanessa, you are such a kind and wonderful, authentic, like human business owner, all of the things. I am so lucky to be in your sphere and have helped you in your business and then continue to be your friend. Feel lucky every day. So, thank you so much for having me into your community. And hello, everyone. It's great to meet you. And maybe this is the first time you've heard my name, maybe not, but I'm super excited to be here. And I am a sales coach and a sales strategist. And what that means for you is that I help my clients convert more of their leads into premium paying clients. And I do so in a couple of ways. One is one-to-one conversations, which means closing in the DM, Voxer, which is actually one of my favorites, and then also Messenger, and then discovery calls, which I love. I know the girl who loves discovery calls, but I love fast and sweet and perfect discovery calls. They can make you a ton of money super fast, which then allows you to make a greater impact. And then the other thing is the one-to-many sale, right? So that means you're on your virtual stage. It's time to make a pitch. What you gonna say? How you gonna do it? How are you gonna make sure you're generating those sales conversations that are so super important? I find myself on a day-to-day basis creating offers left and right, telling people how to change their language so they can be empowering to receive sales, and of course the topic around live launching, which we're going to talk about today.
Yay! I'm so excited for this. So you had said something that was about what you're saying. Like that is me. Like I fumble around my words sometimes or all the time. And so I love the things that you teach because give a different perspective and you help calm my nervous system. So I appreciate that. But so before we tell me a little bit about before we get into the questions, tell me about why you're so passionate about the social selling thing.
Yes. Okay. I love social selling. Let me define it for
Yes.
anyone who is not familiar with it because it's a new-ish word, but it's kind of self-explanatory, but let's not leave anything for interpretation. So, social selling is the act of communicating with people in social media to make a sale. And that's occurring in the DM or Messenger, or I am now including Voxer, although that is not a social media platform and is a beautiful place to make sales that does not require a Zoom call. So we're going to put it all in there. So it's how you encourage people to communicate with you in DM or Messenger, and how you have conversations with them in a safe and fun, permissive way to ask them to, and invite them to work with you. And so many times, and I know that sounds so incredibly simple, but I cannot tell you how many people I have watched attempt to grow thriving businesses online that literally rather die than go into the DMs, right? They're like, oh, it's like I'm going to burn in there. Like they're going to hate me. They're going to reject me. They're going to block me. I'm going to say something stupid, like all of the things. And this is the deal, is that I don't know what your email open rate is, but the average email open rate is probably lower than we all want it to be. We wish everyone would open every single one of our emails, right? And they don't. We would love for everyone to see every single one of our posts or every single one of our lives. They don't. It's just the way it is. So the reason why social selling is so important is you go direct to who you want to work with. Okay, direct. Now, sometimes people don't open their messages, sure, but you're still getting such a high percentage of engagement that you are going to reach people in a faster, speedier, more efficient way than just email and just copy and just content. right? I'm not saying you don't need those things. You absolutely need those things, but this really helps take it to the next level, and you can see a much higher profitability from it. It also is a layer of human communication that is just not achievable in other forms of communication. So when you can use your voice to talk to someone personally, when you can use a voice note, or you can talk to them in a private environment, that accelerates your know, like, and trust like no other. And my clients using social selling during live launching and evergreen, they see up to a 50% conversion rate during live events and open cards. Like, that's huge. That is massive. And the way that they're doing it is they're engaging with purpose and using empowering language in DM, and you're not even seeing it. So, it's not something you can observe and duplicate without somebody helping you learn how to do it, because you can't observe it because it is so private. And so that's what makes it really, really different. And I want to bring light to this because I think that it's sort of, it's hiding there a little bit for a lot of people. And I want to make it attainable and reachable for as many entrepreneurs as possible.
Oh, yeah, I love that. Yes. And it's actually fun hanging out in the DMs with people. Like the approach that I use, like I talk about this like over and over again, like dating and like sex. It's like you don't want to get into bed with someone right away. You kind of want to get to know them, and so making it fun by getting to know them before you go in for the pitch. And so I love that you preach that. So you are always so put together. You're intentional. You are very prepared. But you recently canceled a live launch midway, and I know it wasn't because you weren't prepared. So tell me, why did you cancel it like midway? Your lunch.
Okay, so this is like one of my favorite stories to tell. And I laugh at myself all the time. I've actually canceled several things. Okay, so I'm going to pick like one of my favorites. And well, one of them was like about a year ago. I had like a 5-day challenge I was doing, and I was doing it more of like a traditional launch than the way that I do it now, which is like hybrid, kind of lazy, fun, relaxing, all the things. And halfway through, I was like, this is exhausting and I hate it. I was like, this is horrible. Like, I don't ever want to do it this way again. I was trying to use like a model of live launching that I had been taught by a coach that I just like, sometimes you do it that way, right? And so that's like when I finally just dug my heels in. I was like, nope, not doing traditional live launching. I'm creating my own method. And so I took pieces of different methods that I had learned plus what I had known and created like I like to call it like a hybrid launch. And so that's what I do now. But I canceled it halfway through, and I told everybody, I don't like this. I don't want to do it anymore. Like, canceled, like literally like just, right? And you would think a lot of people would be like, what's wrong with her? Or blah, blah, blah. And you know what it did? Everyone was like, well, she's kind of a badass. I think I'm going to work with her. And I was like, oh, this is surprising. And now I have a bunch of sales. Like, I still sold what I wanted to sell, which was my sales success lab. And it went great. And I was really happy. And I was just kind of laughing to myself. It's like, if we just take the pressure off of perfection and just like do what feels good, as long as you're still really good at what you do in the back, then you're amazing, right? Like, it's fine. And so that was one story. The other one is I did this pipeline management hybrid launch. And hybrid launch, let me define what I'm talking about that. When I do my hybrid launches, I have some portion is recorded and some is live, because I don't like being live consistently for like 5 days in a row or 4 days in a row or even 3 days in a row. It kind of just drains my energy. So I actually record a lot of my content now. And then the part that energizes me is the coaching portion. So I go live for that. So that's my hybrid, the basics of my hybrid model. So I was going through and I was doing pipeline management, and I was like, oh, if people decide to like join one of my affiliate links, because I'm an affiliate for like a bunch of technology, I was like, oh, if they do that, then I'm going to give them access to a private Facebook group for like $40 a month. And, I'm going to help them with their sales questions or something like that. And I was like, oh, that sounds good. So then I like put it in the videos and everything. And I like started pitching it. And then I was like, it's going to take a lot of $40 per month to make this worth it. And I kind of was like, no, I'm just more on the premium level. I think I'm just a premium coach. So I was like, I haven't even changed the videos. So if you go and listen to the recording, you'll see my pitch. And literally in the note section, it says membership closed. please continue with the training.
That's so funny.
And I'm like, I don't even care. It's still great free training. People will enjoy it. And like, that's the beauty of it, right? And then I went on to like sell like 4 VIP days, which clearly made me a ton more money than selling a whole bunch of $40 things, and right off of that pipeline training. So sometimes you just have to be okay with sitting in your power and being like, false start. Like, I don't want to do this. And the beauty of it is that you can recover from it.
Yeah.
And it's so important that you just do things that feel good. Like, you have to do the work. You have to do the work. You have to show up. But there's a million different ways to do the work and to show up, right? So just pick something that feels good and do it a lot.
For sure. I noticed that when I have that excitement behind something, like it's people gravitate towards that. As a generator, people are like, they love like my buzzingness. You know, I was talking to someone today. They're like, oh my God, I just love your energy. I want to be around you. I'm like, I can't help it. Like, that's how I am.
Yeah, because I have that too with the manifesting generator, like the MG. But yes, they just love our energy. But the cool thing is it's not depleting. It's actually energizing to us because we have so much of it.
Yes, for sure. I'm like, please, here you go. Here you go. Here's some for you. Here's some for you. I love that. And I love that you say like you give, for me, that like I have a defined head and ajna. I have so many ideas coming out, and I have like, I'll have an idea for other people, but I'm like, that's not even my business. I can't create that. And I love that you say that it's okay to drop something and to move on to something else, because for me, that has so many ideas. Sometimes I lose energy on something, but I'm like, nope, I said that I was going to do it. Let me follow through with it. And so I love that you said that. Thank you for saying that. What are 4 things that, and I put this in the promo, so I have to know the answers. What are the 4 things that need to be in place before launching to make sales easy?
Okay, so yes, 4 things before launching. So first of all, you got to have a really good offer ready to go to sell on the back end. Okay, like a really, really good offer. So that's number 1. And how am I defining a really good offer? Like, I hope you know your audience well enough to create something they want to say yes to. Okay. And if you don't, get support to do so, because it is so important, because it does not matter how great your event is, how you sell on stage or anything. If no one wants it, it's not going to sell. So let's make sure you're creating things for yourself, but also for the people that are already in your existing audience. That is super, super important. So that's number 1. Okay. Number 2 is make sure your live event makes sense to sell that offer. Okay. It is a sales funnel, people, right? So if you are a health coach, right, and you're going to sell, a membership to recipes at the back end or something, I'm just like making this up. Okay. So it's like a recipe membership, how to cook, all of the things, right? But if your event is, all around working out, right, then that doesn't, like, it's disjointed. Right. Mm-hmm. So you need to make sure, like, yes, are they kind of similar? Yes, but it's not a perfect sales funnel. So making sure that you audit your content that you're going to deliver to say the obvious next step has to be to buy this. There is no other option. Like, I'm already in for it. I'm hooked. I'm ready to go. I have to buy this thing. Okay. So that's number 2. Number 3 is please share success stories of other people that you have helped before you do a live event. For dear Lord, please do this, okay? And the reason why this is so important is that social proof is mandatory if you're going to use social media to sell to people. It is so extremely mandatory. I can't even stress it anymore. So there's lots of different ways that you can showcase how you help people. You can do it anonymously and just tell stories about clients if you don't feel comfortable sharing their information, or they don't want you to if you work in like a sensitive industry like divorce or relationships or something like that. Okay, you can make it anonymous. I've even seen people put like emoji faces on like the next to the quote, so that it's even more anonymous, right? You can do that. I like a testimonial tsunami is what I call it. So it's like just a screenshot of like every little nice thing anybody's ever said. I call it a tsunami. It's kind of nice. The other thing that I really like, and especially if you have a B2B offer, is doing client spotlights in your group. Like you've done that for me inside my group before. I actually keep them in my group and I organize them underneath guides. And the reason why, and why it's important to do a lot of those right before a launch, is it primes the audience to not only see the social proof of success, but to relate with the people that you work with. Like we all attract a certain type of person. And for the most part, like there are really consistent characteristics amongst everyone who says yes to you. So when you can showcase them, then other people who are thinking about working with you can be like, oh, I totally relate with Vanessa. That's so cool. Like we're similar and Michelle helped her. Like that's amazing. And so it really, really helps with that. And so to do that in your pre-launch is super, super important. Okay. And then number 4 is a social selling strategy. Okay. Okay. So when social selling strategies don't have to be that scary, but they do need to be strategic. There's certain things that have to happen pre-launch, during the launch, and after the launch. There are multiple different ways you make sure that you stay in front of them at all times, and how to identify those that are engaged, that are most likely to convert, so you can dedicate your time to those people. Okay. And how you plan this out is you decide how you're going to communicate with people every single day of the live launch. You put it on a calendar, you map out what your conversation starters are going to be. You're going to map out what some of your content is so that it gives you reason to talk to people. You're going to build your entire live launch around getting people in the DM. Okay. And I'm going to give you a really cool tip right now that's extraordinary. Okay. And totally only for my paid clients. So this is one of my favorite things to do. Is in a lot of live launches, there's a homework submission piece, right? And so when someone submits their homework to, like, let's say it's in a Facebook group, I would say most live launchers are using a community, right? So if you have that in your Facebook group and they submit the homework and you like their homework, you go over to their profile, you're like, she's such a hot lead. She would be so good to work with me. Like, I want her, right? Then go the extra mile. Look at her homework, do a little bit of feedback in the thread to show authority, right, to everyone else watching, but then say, hey, I have a little bit more feedback for you. I'm going to send you a voice note. Go over to DM, voice note the additional feedback, and now you have started a real relationship in the DM. Not one person on this planet is going to be upset if the host of a big event steps off the guru stage, goes into the DM, gives helpful advice, and wants to communicate with them. Okay? So that is like my number one way for those who might feel like, oh, how do I do this? To just get into the DM. Okay? Because that's where you're going to build relationships, human connection, and make more conversions.
I love that. And I love the way you say it, like step off the stage. So I have this thing called the Imagery content method, and it's all about creating images in your, like through your marketing, so that the person can see the images in their head. And I love that you just did that, because I literally was like imagining like being at, and you said guru. So I was thinking about being at, what's his name? I forget his name. Big tall guy. How do I forget?
What does he do? Tony Robbins?
Yes, Tony Robbins. I forget his name. Yeah, like I pictured Tony. I know Tony Robbins. I got pictured you like on a Tony Robbins stage, getting down and coming to the crowd to help me. I'm like, ah. So I love.
And he does that, by the way.
Yeah.
And who sells great? Tony Robbins sells great.
Ah, I love that you said that. I love it. I love it. Okay, so I'm gonna get off like a little bit off topic here, but well, not really off topic, but another thing, for someone like me that consistently forgets to ask for social proof, I always forget. Do you have like an automated system, or maybe a link that you would want to share that you're like, this is what I use, like some kind of tech system that I use in case I forget to ask for that testimonial? Because you're right, the social proof is so important, and I always forget. And like it's so funny. I'll have people DMing me, this was so great. I'm like, oh yay, great. And then I forget to screenshot it and do all the things. So,
well, that's the first thing, is always screenshot it. And a tip I have is that anytime anyone says something nice about me, like I literally screenshot it and I save it in my iPhone to a folder that says client love.
Oh, I need to do that. So that's like a twofold, because then whenever you're feeling down, you can go look at the client love.
Yeah, no, I love, I'm good. I'm okay. I'm doing good. So that's the first thing. And it doesn't matter if it's pretty, if it's sloppy, if it's anything, just screenshot it real fast, put it in there. And then that way, when you're creating posts or content, like, you know, to go there right away. Okay. Second thing is that if people like to work with you, they are happy to give you a testimonial, even if it's been 2 months, right? So my challenge to you is just to go out to those people and say something like this. Say, you know, hey, Vanessa, I know it's been like a couple of months since we worked together, but I kind of forgot to ask you for a testimonial. And if you wouldn't mind, could you just reply to this one question that I have at your convenience? And I would love to be able to showcase it if it's okay with you. That one question is, what would you say to someone who's on the fence of working with me?
Love that. I love that. And I love how genuine that is.
Yeah,
Like,
just
I
be
forgot
honest.
to ask. Yeah.
Forgot to ask, and make it really easy, right? And make it really easy. Get them to respond. Like, most of the time, I do that in like a DM situation, but you can do it in email or any other way. Also, another thing is if you don't want them to reply, you could also just say, if you have a Facebook group, be like, hey, like, I know I really helped you achieve this, and you know, it just really means a lot if the person that I helped actually makes the post, because it just helps me impact more lives. Like, could you just put that in a quick post and throw it into my group? I would really appreciate it.
I like that too. Awesome.
Right? Because, like, I think for the most part, at least everybody that I work with, and probably most everyone you work with, like, we're only making sales because we are impact driven entrepreneurs, right? And if we don't make sales, we don't make an impact because we're not helping anybody. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, yes, sales like empowers me to buy really nice Anthropologie furniture and wear fancy, expensive sweaters and jewelry and all these things and get my Botox. But it also helps me empower thousands of entrepreneurs, right? And that's really what it's all about for me. And like, I was actually speaking with like one of my biz mentors the other day, and we were talking about something. And and she's like, Michelle, you don't like talk about like money a lot. And I was like, well, I mean, I do. I mean, I tell people like what my launch numbers are and all this stuff. She's like, yeah, but like not like a lot. And I was like, well, I guess that's a good observation because that's not my number one value.
Yeah.
And she was like, so you're the only sales coach whose number one value is not money. And I was like, well, to me, money is a byproduct of everything else I'm doing, and it comes naturally. And so I feel like it would be a shame if that's all I focused on, because I actually think I'd make less money if I did that. So yes, I set goals. Yes, I want to make a lot of money. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not a hobbyist, right? I'm not a nonprofit. I'm not a hobbyist. But if I show up with the intention of like, if I teach more people how to sell, more entrepreneurs how to sell, that's the trickle down effect. That means they can go impact lives. And then that means those people can go impact lives. So then everything I do, it just trickles down and it compounds in its effect. And that's way more important to me. And that's how my messaging comes across.
I love that. I was doing my CEO day last week, and I was thinking about the income and the impact. And I was like, you know what is more sexy to me is the number of people I've impacted more so than the number. Like, cause it all goes hand in hand, but like that is like, bam, like the impact is so incredible because like what you're saying, it snowballs after that. And so I love that. I'm glad that we share that value there. So what are the top 3 mistakes, and I know I might be all 3 of them, that launchers make?
Okay, so the top 3 mistakes, and it kind of ties back into like the 4 things that you need to be doing. But the top 3 mistakes are, well, this is one of them: getting freaked out at the end of the event and not making a confident pitch. Okay. And you literally choke on your words and you can't get it out and all of the things, right? Now, if you've had this happen before, don't worry. You can do better next time and it's fine. You don't have to be perfect, but you do need to be confident. And you can become confident by practicing, having someone help you, and then also just doing your due diligence on how you hold your body. So I'll give this other bonus tip right now. So I ran a Toastmasters for a long time. That's how I learned about public speaking. And so what's really important is that your abs are engaged when you're on stage, because what it does is it opens up the diaphragm. It allows you to speak from a deeper place in your chest so you don't run out of breath. if you slunch over or hunch over, your diaphragm and your vocals and like everything, it makes it harder literally to breathe. So then it sounds like you're like, and for only $9,000, you can join. You know what I mean? It sounds like that, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing is you better be really freaking excited to pitch at the end, right? Like you are lit up on fire. Like anybody who does not want this thing, like how could you not want this thing? It's the most amazing thing in the world. So you need to be equally excited about what you're offering, that, you know, to encourage people to do so. Okay. So that's the pitch part at the end. So those are really, really important pieces. The second thing is you're afraid to get in the DM. Such a huge mistake. So many beautiful things happen there. That's number 2. Number 3 is you plan all of your content and emails beforehand and you just push go and you think that you're going to walk around your house and get sales.
I hope that's a reel right there.
Yeah, I should do that, right?
Yeah. I love that.
So the reason why this doesn't work is because do you need those things? Like, sure, you should have content and emails. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you don't need those things. But what's more important is what I like to call like reactive creation during a live launch. And what that means is like if you're doing what I'm telling you to do, you're having conversations in the DM and you're getting questions and concerns. And like, I don't like to say they're objections, but people are just trying to figure out if this is the right thing for them, which they should be doing. I actually think no's and objections are healthy because it means that someone's making an educated decision and not feeling pushed into something. So I actually I want to know what questions they have, right? So by using those questions, those concerns, those objections, you can then create on the spot copy, on the spot content, emails, lives, whatever it is, right? The reason why this is so important is that it is impossible to be a mind reader. And it doesn't matter if you have launched this a million times, every group of people that come through are going to be slightly different. So if someone on day 4 of Open Cart has a certain concern or question, you can bet your booty there's 20 more people that have the same thing. So if you can use what that person said to you in your DM and create a powerful piece of content live and on the spot, like every single time I do it, I get a sale, like within a minute. It is like amazing. And it's not always the person I was having that conversation with. It was somebody else.
I love that.
It's really important. So those are my big ones. And I got really excited about that one.
I love them. And it's like what we were talking about before we came on is like, I was told to have more structure in my launches. And I was like, but I like to have the flow of it because I can think fast. Like I can connect the dots really quickly. And so for me to be able to create inspired content is more meaningful to me than like what you're saying, just kind of putting it in there and it's like boring. You know, I've noticed that the mistakes that you mentioned, I noticed that with me, I by the end of it, like I forget the reason why I'm doing the launch. Like if it's a free event, I forget the reason. I'm so excited about the content. I was like, oh crap. I remember one time I was like, oh crap, I forgot to pitch the thing. I was like, oh crap, I totally forgot about that because I was like loving what I do. And I forgot that there was like another part of it. And so there's that with me. And then sometimes, and I'm going to get away from this, but like doing 3 days in a row of live trainings is just kind of exhausting by the 3rd day. You're like, after that, you're just kind of like, you don't want to go into the DMs. You're kind of like exhausted. What I decided to do now, and I think you would be proud of me, is that I'm no longer going to be doing free trainings. I might do one here and there, but like, no, the next one I have coming up, the CEO workshop, it's going to be a paid workshop. It's going to be probably 2 hours long. I'm not going to go over 2 days. And I'm going to, I just don't want to do that whole thing. And I'm going to allow myself the freedom to create on the spot, like what you're saying. I'll have some things in my little toolbox, but I'm going to be able to figure out other things on the way. It's too restrictive for me as a generator that likes to be everywhere,
And I think that's awesome. I will tell you right now, the launch that I just got off of, I really like paid events. I think it's super wise because the conversion rate is going to be so much higher than a free event. But there is reasons to do free events, and that would be list building, audience building. Like there are logical reasons to do it too. But paid events convert at a much higher rate. So the launch I just got off of, we had 10,000 people sign up for the free. That was the
Oh,
sales
wow.
strategist behind it, teaching my social selling to his team. And we ended up doing selling VIP tickets in order to differentiate between like the hot buyers and the people who were just there, right? So we sold out. We actually maxed out. We didn't have enough social sellers. We were like, oh my God, and we don't have time to hire anymore. Like next time we'll know more. I guess that's like a good problem to have.
Yeah.
But they all got like concierge service, like all the VIP tickets. Out of the VIP tickets, the conversion rate was 50%.
Wow, that's amazing.
So, I mean, crazy cool, so super fun. And it really was the tipping point. Like this launch was the tipping point for me to redo my live launch sales hero that I did last year and make it from a mini workshop to an all-day workshop. And I'm really excited because now, like all those things that I do for the 7-figure CEOs, like we can sit down, and if you're a solopreneur or you want to bring a team member, like we're going to hash it all out together and have so much fun doing it. And then you walk away with your entire plan, and it isn't like something on your to-do list. So I'm really excited.
That's awesome. I'm glad that you said that, because that's exactly what Emma and I are going to be doing for the CEO workshop is like, we're going to get you to do it now, because courses are great, but then you just kind of forget about them. Let's get this stuff done, so that way you leave with something tangible. So yay, I feel like I'm doing something like a top guru is doing. So yay.
You're doing great.
Yeah. So why do you think, and maybe you know this because of the hiccup that you had with not having enough social sellers, but why do you think most entrepreneurs don't have the space, or they haven't implemented social selling yet?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's a newer strategy. Not that it's new, but it is newer. Like to us, it's not newer because we talk about this kind of stuff all the time, but I do think like it is a newer concept. So one is just awareness. Okay. Two is, I mean, I don't know about everybody listening here, but unless you've trained a sales team before, it's probably not in your toolkit. So you're like, what do I do? Right. And like, even if you're your sales rep, like training yourself, that is like, I mean, I worked in corporate America for over a decade learning all of these things. Like you have to have someone in your court to like teach you how to sell. Like it is something that you need to do strategically. So I think a lot of people are intimidated by the idea of either training themselves or training their team, so then they don't do it.
Yeah, that's I've never even thought about that. That's amazing. Like that's wow. So can you tell us a story about a recent launch that you helped in that you like authentic selling? Like, did you help this entrepreneur do this, or like tell me a little bit more about
so I help everyone from the solopreneur to the 7-figure CEO, right? So one client I'm thinking about right now she's a solopreneur, no selling team, uses my strategies, but we've worked one-on-one to like curate this, right? And so she is now consistently, I think she's on her fifth group launch. She does cohorts and she sells out without even doing a live event. She just has an open cart period, and it's quiet, and it's in the DM, which is like mind blowing. And she sells it out every single time. I think it's up to like $2,500 or something like that per seat. So that's one example of a solopreneur. Then the example I was just talking about, I literally just got off that launch. So that took up a ton of my time. So 7-figure coach, and he has 6 team members. And so they all do different things. So we used 3 of them that have never done social selling before, trained them all, gave them the plan, and they rocked it so naturally, so amazing, and got the 50%. So the reason why I'm telling you this is that you don't have to have a sales background to be a social seller. You just have to like talking to people, and then letting somebody help you to guide that conversation to learn exactly a framework to do it so that you can be successful.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Okay, so this is what the live launch sales hero is about. Can you tell us a little bit more about it? You kind of touched on it, but like let's
so live launch sales hero. First of all, it's not my first time teaching it. It's the second year in a row, but I'm expanding. So this year it is a 4-hour live interactive workshop where I'm literally going to go over a concept, give you the template, and you're going to go work and do it. You come back, I look at it, give you feedback, thumbs up, moving on to the next thing. So we're going to go through my entire social selling system and how to pitch from stage and all of the goodies that you need in a live launch event in those 4 hours, so that you literally walk away with everything. But I'm not going to leave you at the end of the 4 hours. We're going to do 3 additional Q&A calls, and we'll have a community for 2 weeks as well. And I'm making it really, really tight and like narrow in time because I don't want anyone to procrastinate this. And so we are keeping it at a really tight time frame, and it's a doing environment, and I'm super excited.
Oh my gosh. So like network marketers, anyone that like someone can go to this, like I can go to this and do this for myself, get the assets for myself. But also when I hire a social seller, I can be like, hey, look, I already got this all set up for you. Go to sell.
Yep, exactly. Exactly. So you can buy a ticket for yourself, or you can buy a ticket for your team. You can also bring a buddy and get a huge discount. So if you're interested in doing this, like find another friend and then go to the checkout page to see your discount because it's pretty fun.
And when will you do it again?
Probably not for another year. It's kind of like a once a year thing for me. It just based on like my promo calendar. So if you want to do it this year, do it now.
Awesome. And when does registration open?
It's open right now, actually. So you can go and jump in. And I actually have a super special bonus for anybody who is going to join in the next couple of days. And so if you want to know what that is, then send me a DM and I'll get you in on the secret. But it's not on the sales page. I'm not talking about it openly. But if you want to send me a message, I can loop you in.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time. I know I asked extra questions, but I just had so much fun talking with you. So.
No, this was awesome. Thank you so much for having me here and supporting me. And you're amazing.
Thank you. All right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you later.
Bye.